In the remote village of Kogori lived a little girl named Aisha. She was only 12, with bright, curious eyes and a spirit as free as the wind. Aisha loved to learn. She would sit by the village storyteller, soaking in tales of brave warriors, clever women, and ancient gods. Her dreams were vast. She wanted to become a teacher, to bring knowledge to her people and to explore the world beyond the village. However, fate had different plans for her. One day, her father, Musa, a farmer struggling to feed his family, was approached by Alhaji Bala, a wealthy but ill-tempered man, about her father's age. Alhaji Bala was notorious for his drinking and violent temper, but he had power and influence in Kogori. He had taken a liking to Aisha and offered Musa a handsome dowry of cattle, grains, and money for her hand in marriage. Musa, weighed down by poverty and debt, felt he had no choice. Despite Aisha's protests and her mother's tears, the decision was made. At the tender age of 13, Aisha was forced to marry Alhaji Bala. From the first day, Aisha's life became a nightmare. Alhaji Bala was as cruel as the villagers had whispered, perhaps even worse. He drank heavily, spending his days in drunken stupor and his nights in fits of rage. He would beat Aisha for the smallest of reasons: if the food was too hot, if she did not fetch water quickly enough, if she dared to cry. Her body became a canvas of bruises, her spirit crushed under the weight of her suffering. Days turned into months, and Aisha's hope faded like the sun at dusk. Her dreams of becoming a teacher, of escaping this life seemed impossible. Yet, deep inside, a tiny spark of deviance refused to die. One stormy night, after another violent outburst from Alhaji Bala, Aisha knew she could not stay any longer. She was 17 now, older but still a child, and yet she had lived a lifetime of pain. With nothing but the small bag of clothes and the few coins she had secretly saved, she waited until Alhaji Bala was deep in his drunken sleep. Then she slipped out of the house and fled into the night. Her heart was pounding like a drum. She walked for hours through the dark, her bare feet bleeding on the rocky paths, until she reached the nearest road. By stroke of fate, a bus heading to Lagos, the sprawling city of dreams, stopped. With no other choice, Aisha climbed aboard, leaving behind her village, her pain, and her past. Lagos was unlike anything Aisha had ever seen. The city buzzed with life, cars honking, people shouting, markets bustling with activity. It was overwhelming, but it was also a place where no one knew her name or her story. She was free, but she had nothing: no home, no money, and no friends. For days she wandered the streets, hungry and afraid, sleeping under bridges and in abandoned buildings. One day, while begging for food outside a small restaurant, Aisha caught the eyes of a woman named Mama Ade. She was a large, warm-hearted woman who ran a modest food stall. Mama Ade saw the desperation in Aisha's eyes and took pity on her. She offered Aisha a bowl of jollof rice, and seeing her genuine gratitude, allowed her to help out at the store in exchange for food and a small place to sleep. Aisha worked hard, learning quickly how to cook, serve customers, and manage money. She had a sharp mind, and Mama Ade soon grew fond of her, teaching her everything she knew about the business. Aisha's bright smile and determination attracted customers, and the small store began to thrive. Years passed, and Aisha blossomed into a beautiful young woman with a head full of dreams and a heart filled with hope. She saved every naira she earned, dreaming of opening her own shop one day. Her past seemed like a distant memory, but it had left deep scars in her soul. One day, while working at the store, Aisha overheard two women talking about a new radio station in Lagos that was looking for stories of survival and courage for a special program. Something inside her stirred a feeling she had almost forgotten. She decided to write to the station telling them her story. from the forced marriage to the abuse and her escape to Lagos. The radio station was captivated by her story. They invited her to speak on air, and for the first time, Aisha's voice was heard beyond the narrow confines of her village. Her story of resilience and bravery resonated with many listeners, and soon she was invited to more interviews, sharing her experience and speaking out against child marriage and domestic abuse. Her newfound fame brought expected opportunities. One day, a man in a sharp suit approached her after a radio show. He was from an NGO that worked to empower young women and fight against child marriage. He offered her a position as a community outreach coordinator, helping other girls who had faced similar challenges. Aisha accepted, knowing that this was her chance to make a difference. She began traveling to different parts of Nigeria, sharing her story, offering hope, and helping to educate communities. Her name became known across the country, a symbol of courage and the fight against oppression. But one day, while at a conference in Abuja, she received shocking news. Alhaji Bala, her former husband, had arrived in Lagos, claiming to be her father and demanding she be returned to him. He had heard of her newfound success and wanted to exploit it for his gain. Aisha felt a chill run down her spine, but this time she was not the scared little girl she once was. She decided to face him, to confront her past once and for all. With the support of her new friends and colleagues, she met Alhaji Bala at the police station. When he saw her, he was shocked. The little girl he had once terrorized was now a strong, confident young woman. Aisha looked him in the eye and spoke with a calm, powerful voice. I'm not yours to claim, Alhaji. I've found my voice, my strength, and my freedom. You cannot take that from me. Alhaji Bala, overwhelmed by the attention and the presence of the police, realized that he no longer had power over her. He left defeated and humiliated. With her past finally behind her, Aisha continued to work tirelessly, becoming a powerful advocate for women's rights across Africa. She opened her own organization in Lagos, providing shelter, education, and hope for young girls in need. And then, in a twist of fate, she received a letter one day. It was from her father, Musa, begging for forgiveness. The drought had come and he had lost everything. Her mother had fallen ill and he had no money for her medicine. Torn between anger and compassion, Aisha made a decision. She returned to Kogori, not as a little girl who was once forced into marriage, but as a woman who had found her voice. She helped her father and mother, but made it clear that she would never forget what had been done to her. And so Aisha became a living legend, a symbol of resilience, a warrior against injustice, and proof that even the darkest past could not dim the light of a determined spirit. She had fled from her suffering, but she had also returned stronger, ready to change her world. She was no longer just a girl from a small village. She was Aisha, the voice of a new generation, and her story had only just begun. Thank you. Please kindly subscribe and support me. See you again next time. Bye.